G'day guys and girls, and welcome to another edition of Damo's Team Talk, coming out of round 8, and hope you all had a pretty decent week on the weekend. Of course, you can find us across our social channels on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Just search SuperCoach Edge and you'll pretty much find us there. Of course, if you aren't subscribed, if you can do so, that would be absolutely awesome. If you have already, 2 thumbs up for you. Chef's kiss. Everything else, thank you so much. Let's flick across here to just quickly show you the analytics. First and foremost, the ladies are getting around us. The ladies, good to see some representation. So again, 2 thumbs up. I'd give you 3 if I had 3 for the ladies getting involved and watching our content. So thanks for that, and hopefully you're enjoying it just as much as the blokes out there. But the one I want to draw your attention to there is the not subscribed the subscribed numbers there. And it's slowly creeping up over the past 28 days. But it still sits at around about 60% not subscribed. So again, if you can just caress softly, just touch it. That's kind of creepy, sorry. If you can just press the subscriber button, that would be awesome. Because Liam and I are trying to ever so... not desperately, but we're trying to get there to the 1K mark, and it's slow going. There's so many different content creators out there that have already hit that mark, and we feel like we're lagging behind. So if you can help us on our way, just give us a little bit of a boost. Give us a rocket, like Rodney did for Wilmanson. Fucking Wilmanson, get him off! Like that sort of stuff. Click the subscribe and you'll help us out there. Let's just jump across, get into it, shall we? How my team fared coming out of the weekend, and again, I'm going to run with this gag, but it's kind of getting old already. 2 thumbs up. Would give it a 3 if I could, because I scored 2,451. Believe it or not, was quite good. I think I was projected for around about 2,350. Overshot that mark, and pleasingly so. And you'll see there in terms of rank, I've gone up in rank. I'll have a look in a second actually, but I think it's for the past month potentially, even more. And I think over the past 3 weeks, I've actually halved my rank each time, and didn't quite halve it this time, but came close. I pretty much cut it by a third. So I now have broken into the top 5K to now sit 4,028 inside the top 2% overall. So looking hunky-dory. So let's get into my team. And I'll make it a little bit more quickfire compared to previous weeks. I won't go into every individual play if I don't have to. So we'll look at each line by line. So starting off with defenders, Dakes, I mean, everyone's got him. Who would have thought taking one of the most influential players for the Pies is going to help him out, and didn't get the result for Sydney, but Clark did end up doing a number, as we can see there, scored an 81. Stewart, great from week to week. Jackie Sinclair matched him with a 99. Zeebs just out of his skin. I think he ended up having like 30 kicks or something, which was incredible. 179, just pigged it up, absolute pig in mug. Will Day, a little bit down on production, but I mean, the Hawks got smashed by, who was it, Freo? So big ask for him to put in a breakout performance. Considering that, and Sheasel, just she's nuts. Check out She's Nuts. He went absolutely nuts. She's nuts. Wilmot, 50, option there to loop him on, didn't do it. Didn't need to. Could have switched Wilday into the midfield, but nah, all good. In terms of the midfielders, Le Bond, this bloke, incredible. It just feels, previous years when you haven't had Bond, and you kind of, from the outside looking in, and you're just like, your hands and nose and face pressed up against the window, watching owners just relish at the fact that they've been able to gobble up the big scores that he's had, and, champion data, applying the lipstick and puckering their lips for good old Bond, just simply, getting within 10 metres of the footy and just gifting him points. So he actually deserved it on the weekend, and he has in recent weeks, because he's been going absolutely bananas and in full flight. He is a delight to watch, so incredible there. Clary Oliver, 136. Ended up captaining him. I had the VC on Taranto with 118. I thought he was going to go bananas against the Coasters, but didn't do it, so locked in at Clary. First week in my team, and he punches out his second highest score of the season with a 136, so chef's kiss, double chef's kiss. I literally had a napkin which I just had around my neck here, which I had to whip out because I just finished devouring another course of the pink sweaty pig himself in Clary Oliver, because he is a tasty more than a tasty morsel. He's a dish. He is a dish and a half. Anyway, before I go off on a tangent, Rory Laird, pretty good. Walshy, thereabouts. Tom Green, 135, incredible. Errol Goulden, 156. That went absolutely bananas. I think he had about 35 kicks himself, like Jay-Z. So went great guns. Ashcroft down in production and really has hit a wall off the back of that in terms of his cash gen, which I'll get into shortly. Matty Johnson used him as a bit of a loophole for Ching Cotter, who I obviously played first up, put the E on him, looped him on. Sean Darcy was kind of expected, 77. Ruckman struggle, strangely enough, against the Hawks. I have no idea why, but they do. So that wasn't a massive surprise. And he came to the game with a little bit of a question mark over his fitness. Apparently had a knee knock at training, and then Longmuir comes out and says, there was no issue over him, not potentially not playing at all. Well, mate, it would have been nice for you to tell us, because I played Samson Ryan as R3 just in case Darcy was going to be a late out. So thanks for that, mate. Ripper. Otherwise, I would have used Ryan as the loophole option up forward. So, yeah, absolute idiot, Longmuir. Marshall, 107, went off late and was put on ice virtually. He tweaked his ankle, was doing warm-ups to come back onto the ground. So wouldn't say there's too much of an issue there. Just monitor that throughout the week. But, yeah, they put him on ice because the game was one and done by the Saints over the Roos. Spoke of Samson Ryan there, going great guns, beside the fact that I wasn't able to loop on his score, 104. He's gone up. His break-even now is -4 again, so he really kick-started his cash generation. He's gone up 179.1k overall. And the weekend, he went up 52.3k, so couldn't ask much more than that. And especially over the past 3 weeks, he's really lifted his average overall compared to the previous scores. And that's really, catapulted him to the moon, virtually. He is making big bucks, which is good to see. -4 this weekend, could potentially go up 33.9k again if he can score a 71. But yeah, I opted for him over JVR, Van Ruin, and the same week that he's kickstarted his cash generation and he's headed to the moon, Van Ruin's actually been suspended for 2 weeks for his hit on Ballard. So a bit of a sliding doors moment there. So I'm glad that I went down this route of Samson Ryan, because I was weighing up, do I go for JVR or is it cash cow, or do I go for Samson Ryan? So happy with that choice there. Josh Dunkley, 149. A lot of people, not a lot, but a few of you out there put the VC on him, and nice work for those that did. I only missed out on 13 points in terms of Oliver, but yeah, is what it is. Connor Rosie, 104. Yeah, not too bad. Cogs had his usual down game, 79. I have no idea what happened there. It's his real first down week for me since jumping on him at round 6. So, yeah, annoying, but it is what it is. Faces the Pies, a bit tough as well this weekend at the G. Hopefully he can bounce back. Cade Chandler, 57, so he went up 26.6k. His break-even's now 42. It's sort of rising up there. Projected score of 77, could go up another 16k. Could potentially hold another week, and then his break-even's going to jump up a fair bit, around about what he's averaging now, which is at 76.9. So I'm considering jumping off him this week. You could potentially hold because he is facing the Hawks, of course. But yeah, I'll get into that shortly. Nick Madden used him as a loophole for Simpson, for Sam Simpson. Who's this character? That's Homer Simpson, sorry. Simpson, just for those of you who want to hear the terrible Mr. Burns and Smithers impersonation, by popular demand, of course. He's got a negative break-even of -2, and he is on track to make us bulk coin. Going to make us potentially another, 30, 40, another 50k over the next couple of weeks to go up 100k. So he's on track, potentially to make about 120 heading into the buys. And I might try and... he's playing around 14 and 15, which are going to impact me the most, and a lot of people out there as well the most. So Might even just hold him all the way through. Hopefully he keeps his spot. Kicked another, again, couple of goals on the weekend. He's been consistent, if anything. He's 2 goals, 1 over his first 3 games. So incredible consistency there, Simpson. And then Seamus Mitchell, who I was kind of choosing between Simpson and Mitchell, ended up needing me an extra 12 points by choosing to lock in Simpson's score off the bench. And that wraps us up for how we went on the weekend. So let's jump into my thoughts and plans heading into round 9. So I've obviously got 76.4k there. Amount of boost, unfortunately. So it means that the upgrading of my team will slow down inevitably. 17 trades, which is, as I've said in the previous couple of weeks in my Team and Talk videos, that I've kind of used maybe 1 or 2 more than what I was hoping for. But in terms of the state of my team, it's looking pretty solid across the park, bar, a couple of rookies that I have to field here and here. So down to 4 rookies. I would ideally love to get another rookie off field. Ashcroft, as I spoke to earlier, his break-even is now 71, projected score of 73. He is averaging a 75.4, so it is, within the realms of possibility that he could reach his break-even. And if you look down here, you'll see here that if he averages a 73 over the next couple of weeks, his break-even is going to drop down to a 58. And then potentially he might be able to kickstart his cash generation again. Having said that, he's already made us 170.4k. So it is a big ask for him to average or net us more cash than what he has. So, I mean, the one thing that he does have up his sleeve is, again, he's actually got the first buy round. So it is valuable in the fact that he's going to play 13, 14, and 15. So, and especially 14 and 15, as I said, are going to impact people the most because those are the rounds where more teams have the bye. So that's something to keep in mind, and we'll dive into that, of course, Liam and I, in our full episode this week. But he is one that I'm thinking of upgrading. Outside of that, I've already got 76.4k in the bank. In order to get to someone of decent value, I think I'll need to cash in Chandler, which I think I'll only be sacrificing, 15, 20k at most. He could go bananas again. If he does, it will kickstart his cash generation again, which will be annoying, but that's the risk you take. I think a lot of people, as you can see there with the ownership on the side, there's a few people that jumped off after round 5 when they thought his cash gen was going to come to a slow. So there was at least 3-4% of coaches that had him who traded him in prematurely and missed out on an extra, 80k or thereabouts. So that's kind of the thing. That's you've got to work out at this stage. It's like, well, do you cut them now, and is it going to be cutting them too soon? But you've got to look at the fact that what are you getting in return? And I think for this, first and foremost, I need to look at who I can get. Ashcroft too, and it does mean that I obviously have to, try and loop on a Chin Cotter or a Wilmot, potentially switch him there. But in order to do that, I need to work out who do I trade Chandler to. So the 2 options, and you'll see here, these are the most popular trading options at the moment. Blake Drury, which is surprising. A lot of people want to go early on him, which again, as I've said, is a big no-no. Don't go for a rookie coming off 1 game. He could get dropped first and foremost. He could get injured, and it's going to hurt you more because a vast majority of coaches won't go early on a rookie after 1 game. So it is a risk. But, I mean, he comes at that 102.4k mark. And, if I was going to do that with Chandler, for example, it'd give me 256k roughly, plus the 76, 320 or thereabouts, whatever it is, and I could put that towards a Ashcroft and get, I could get a Dawson, that sort. So that, I guess that is an option, but it is the riskier option, and I'm not in favour of that. The other one is going for, and I kind of want to, jump on as many rookies as I can, the ones that present themselves and look good. And I think one that's going to be hard to pass up this week is Rory Atkins. Again, Liam and I will go into greater detail about this guy in this week's full episode, which will be released Tuesday evening. the 9th of May, but I think with him just briefly, it's obvious he's got a negative 42 break even. He's only played a handful of games since crossing over to the Suns, which obviously indicates that his job security is still a risk. But first up, he plays West Coast this coming round. He's got an 89 in his first game, and then a 68 in his second game. And I think he's been playing on the wing predominantly, just jumping across to DFS Australia. Check out CBAs. And I think he's been playing defence as well, from memory. So I don't think he's been in the middle. No, he hasn't. I'll just quickly have a look at Atkins just for a full breakdown of his role. I think the first, you'll see down here, okay, they've got interchange. But let's look at his heat map. So he's obviously been raking up the pill as well, which is good. He had 25 disposals in his first game. And then he had 22 on the weekend. Disposal efficiency was down, which would have hurt his score. Heat map in his first game. I think he played in defence. Yeah, defence and then pushing up to the wing. And then on the weekend, very similar. So in defence, sort of roaming across half back and up towards the wing. So, and he had a few kick-ins as well, which helps. That's always a good sign. So 5 kick-ins and 2. Just want to see whose kick-ins he's taken since he's been on the team. So this is all very important to try and work out. I mean, this is going another step in terms of working out if he's worth bringing in. So Powell's been taking the majority, which is fine. Lockie Weller's been out. But having said that, Weller had 0 when he played in round 7. When he got injured anyway. Atkins taken. Shit, he took the most on the weekend. That's just interesting. The Koshas too. Well, that's a promising sign anyway. Another sort of string to his bow. You know he's going to get some easy stats with kick-ins, as, Dacos does, for example. And just looking in terms of the amount of money that he could potentially make, 47.6 if you can average a 63 on the weekend, 26.3, and then a 15.8 if you can score around about that. I think that's around about 65, 66 or thereabouts. So it means that, what's that, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80... He could potentially make us, leading into their first bye, into Gold Coast bye in round 13. It could make us 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It could make us 100k come round 13. And then he plays again, those 2 important rounds, round 14 and 15. So he is definitely an option. And you'll see me talking about the buys there as well, and we spoke about it on the podcast, but in terms of whoever you're trading out and trading in, make sure that it isn't really going to stuff at your buys. If it's going to complement your buys, that's even more reason to get them in. And I think that probably trumps the job security issue that I've had with him, or reservations I have with him anyway, with regards to that. So it comes with defensive midfielder eligibility as well, which is always handy, and could use it as a bit of a switch with Wilmot and Chincotta, depending on where he comes in. Then there's Josh Weddle. He's kind of the backup option in terms of bubble boys. Played 2 games, negative 18 break even. Don't mind. He's looked pretty good, I must admit, for a guy of his type. Big body as well for a I think he's first year player. So scores are pretty much on par with what to expect of a defender of his type. Isn't going to make bulk cash, that's the thing. You'd probably be getting him more as coverage off the bench. But even so, I mean, he's not delivering high scores. Could easily kickstart his cash generation and go booming if he can hit a high score. But as you can see there, it kind of his cash generation drops off after 2 weeks if you can average a 33, which at the moment he's averaging a 46. So, it could make us maybe 50k over the next 2 to 3 weeks. But outside of that, that's not enough coin to justify bringing him in. However, having said that, it is going to afford you more cash in the bank by trading someone like Chandler down to him. As I said, it's going to afford you 228k, and it's that plus the 76. I could afford a booming recruit virtually. So that's what I'm thinking. But I think I'm going to go down the Rory Atkins path. Then again, I could potentially do 2 downgrades and then an upgrade and a half potentially, or 2 upgrades next week, depending on who I want to get. But I really want to jump on Jack Steele, I think, at this stage, in terms of where he's at. He actually went down in price, surprisingly, against North. But due to the play style of North Melbourne's very similar to St Kilda, they pretty much allow the defence, the opposition defence, to rack up the pill, and they just flood and park the bus in the opposition's defence. That's pretty much the tail of the tape there, and the reason why he underperformed. But as we'll delve into as well, of course, again, as you'll hear and see when we release our full podcast, the pleasing thing, or the one thing that isn't concerning with Jack Steele, is his points per minute was still 1.1, a touch under what his rate was against Port. So if he played, to that end as well, he actually played the least minutes that he's played across the season to date. Even less minutes than the game where he actually busted his shoulder, which was in round 2. And then his comeback game, he was managed. But if he played another 11 minutes, he could have potentially been well over the. He could have been around about 115, I reckon, going by the points per minute. But it is what it is. He is still a relative pot as well. You'll see there his ownership jumped from 1.5 to 6. So I just think if you can go bananas, which his past 2 games against Adelaide, he scored a 162 and a 126. And one of those games at Adelaide Oval, which this coming weekend is at Adelaide Oval. So there's that, and the fact that his fixture starts to open up. He's got the Giants and then the Hawks as well. But I think it's going to really help my team. I think longer term, upgrading from an Ashcroft who's averaging a 75.4 to again, that's nearly 20 points better off, which in isolation doesn't sound like that much, but over the course of the season, it obviously adds up. And his average is going up as well with every game that he is eclipsing his previous scores combined. So, he's someone that I'm targeting. So if I was to do that, just to wrap us up, I will be going, so for example, Chandler. We'll see if this works, by the way. With Goulden, potentially? Or Roberts? Let's go Goulden for now. Bring in Atkins. If we do it by break even. Atkins, they can't afford me 230.5k. And then I can do the secondary trade, which is Ashcroft. And let's do it by average. So I would have loved to have afforded a Dawson, but it does mean that I'm going to have to go for a Weddle or Jury, which I don't want to do. Fall short of getting Noah Anderson. Fall short of getting Track. Sarong, fall short of him. Neil's got more cash to bleed. I could go for a Zach Merritt. Yeah, potentially. But I just think in terms of value, Jack Steele is great value. He's dropped 80.3k. He's been in the top 8 midfielders for the past 2 seasons, I think, consecutive, prior to last year where he dropped off, of course. So I think he's great value, and it's going to still afford me that extra cash for a future upgrade, which I always like. Never like spending all of my bank because it kind of, you need a bit of a springboard to the next primo. And that's what my team would look like. Let's just make a couple more changes. So Simpson Ryan would go there. So Richmond play first. Sam Simpson's there. Use that there, and you'll see what I'm doing in a second. And I can use that. There. Okay, so I'm just thinking on the fly here. Okay, so that's pretty much... Actually, no, sorry. Because he plays first up. Alrighty, so there you go. That's pretty much how my team would sit. And what I'm doing... Sorry, forgot him. Is, see, Ryan's playing first up, and so is Sam Simpson. So if both of those guys kill it, I can leave Johnson again there, loop on his score. If not, bring on Wilmot. And then in terms of Ryan, similar sort of thing. If he kills it, this one's a little bit more craftier, so it means I would have to... How is this going to work? I don't know if it's... Oh, yeah, this could work, yeah. So it'd be... Sheasel would go to there, and then Mitchell goes to the bench, and then I can loop on Ryan's score. Same thing with Simpson. If not, then, I can still do those switch rounds and stuff. This is doing my head in, though. It's like so much going on. For example, if Simpson doesn't go well, and Ryan does, I can easily just go bang, and then Chincotta, play, bang, and that's that. So there's a few switches that I can make, which is always handy, but that's pretty much the state of play. I haven't even looked at captaincy options, really. Who's Clary play? The Pig plays Hawthorn, so I reckon he would probably be the VC. And then the Bond, he's in awesome form. Plays my mob in the Baggers. Yeah, and I'll probably put C on Bont. Lead place in Kilda. Yeah, Stranglehold. Yeah, that's pretty much how I would go, I reckon. Yeah, let's stick with that for now. But yeah, that's pretty much where my team stands, how it looks. I may even not even make a trade. I may just sit on my trades. I mean, heading to the buys, there's not really... I still want to target, look at my watch list here. And there's a few still on there, like there's Took Millier to come back. He's going to drop in price. Lockie Neal, still bleeding cash. Jack McRae, I can pretty much scrub him off. I'm not really interested in him anymore. Andrew Brayshaw, I don't know. Even though he scored well on the weekend, I have reservations about him being a top 8 midfielder. Sicily surprised with another shit score. I'm happy enough to hold at the moment and see how he fares, because his scoring's been way too up and down. And I'm almost using him as a bit of an anti-pot at the moment. And I'm pretty stacked in defence as it is at the moment anyway. Jordan Dawson would love to get in. But yeah, it's a matter of, when and how. I think I have to wait for the likes of Simpson to mature, Atkins, Chincotta, Ryan, So this is a few guys that are going up in bank a fair bit, which will help me, be able to springboard to a Jordan Dawson and be in a pretty good spot. And I've got Sammy Walsh there, so I can scrub him off the list. And Clary Oliver also. So at least I'm churning through a few of my wish list players there. Sorry, you couldn't see that, but I've just scrubbed them off the list there. And I'll scrub off McRae as well. Actually, how is he going? Yeah, 14th overall. He's in 10% of teams. Now he's dropped away. Not a fan of Jackie McRae. I'll leave him there anyway, just for the time being. But that's pretty much the guys that I'm looking at the moment. So I'm pretty happy with where things stand at the moment. Obviously, looking at my ranking from week to week, I'm going up at the good pace. Just to close off, let's just check out how I'm tracking. So yeah, I've been going up in rank since round one, virtually. I've been going up every single week, which is promising. So at least I'm tracking in the right direction. Obviously, churn through a few boosts there in order to fast track my team. Past couple of weeks' scores have been absolutely mammoth and good to see. And you'll see there, like in terms of the round position with my score for the week, looking pretty good, as well as team values bumped right up. So in a good spot. Again, comparatively to my, I guess, one of my more successful seasons, which was 2019. Yeah, 2019 when I finished 147th overall. At this point in the season, I'm almost like a week behind, I think, in like how I'm tracking. So like, the equivalent, I was 3,930 in round 7. Then round 8, I was 1,189. And yeah, so very similar in terms of almost like just a week behind schedule, which is fine. But yeah, got to keep it going. And I think that's one of the things that I planned well over the buys, which, where would the buys be? It would have been around about here, where the shit scores come in. Yeah, I fell back a bit and then I catapulted. So yeah, hopefully I can keep doing that, going from strength to strength. But that is my team, ladies and gents. So thanks for joining us as always. And if you have any questions about your own team, any help that you are in need of, feel free to comment down below. Always happy to help there. Feel free to do that. Of course, our full weekly episode will be coming out as this is released, tomorrow night, which is Tuesday the 9th of May, or tomorrow evening, I should say, or maybe midday, or maybe you drop it in the morning. Depends when I cut it together, but it'll be out nonetheless sometime, potentially in the afternoon/evening of Tuesday the 9th of May. And of course, you can follow us across our socials. Just search SuperCoach Edge, SuperCoach_Edge on Twitter, and you will find us. And of course, you can hit us up there with any questions you may have, any conundrums. And of course, we'll be doing a little bit of a throwout as well. So any questions that you want to throw our way on Twitter will be featured on our full podcast and vodcast. So check them out. And if you haven't already subscribed, if you can do so, if you have liked this video and like our content, let us know by subscribing, and we thank you in advance. But as I always say, we'll see you same time, same place. We'll see you next time. Cheers, guys.